Leadership is perhaps one of the most misunderstood subjects in business. Leadership has nothing to do with rank. I know many people who sit at the highest levels of an organization who are not leaders. We do as they tell us because they have authority over us, but we do not trust them and we do not follow them. I also know people at low levels of organizations that have no formal authority, but they've made a choice. The choice to look after the person to the left of them, the choice to look after the person to the right of them, and we would trust them and follow them anywhere. Leadership is the awesome responsibility to see those around us rise. Every one of us, can choose to be the leader we wish we had. We lead our teams and we can lead our clients when we decide that we will do everything in our power to see them rise, to see them achieve their ambitions and their dreams. And this is what servant leadership means. I serve your dream rather than you serve my bottom line. And it's totally fine to have financial goals. It's totally fine to have metrics, because that becomes the proof of value that somebody wants to give you their money because they believe in you. It is proof positive. But the best leaders I know are students of leadership. There's no such thing as an expert leader. It doesn't exist. Like there's no such thing as an expert parent. It doesn't exist. Right? We are students of leadership. And even the most senior leaders constantly are reading books, reading articles, watching talks, having conversations all the time about leadership. They're always in learning mode. And I think for anyone who wants to be a leader, you have to choose to be a student of the subject. Like anything, if you want to be good at something, you have to study it. And the most ignored characteristic of leadership, we talk about vision and charisma. Yes, these are important. But I've known some wonderful leaders who don't have huge world-changing vision. I've known some wonderful leaders that are quiet and sit in the corner, but they all have courage. The courage to advance a vision, the courage to ignore the short-term ups and downs of the business, the courage to take risks on people, the courage to believe in people, the courage to speak truth to power, the courage to do the right thing and have integrity. I think courage is a very undervalued characteristic of leadership.
Hi, John Maxwell here. Welcome to Minute with Maxwell. In my book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I teach about the law of influence, which just says the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so when people come to me and they say, well, talk to me about what leadership is, I tell them that leadership is influencing other people. So how do we do that? We do that by intentionally, daily, adding value to the people around us. Here's what I've discovered. If I walk into your life and we become friends, and I, on purpose, intentionally, every day, do things, say things that adds value to you. In other words, I become a plus in your life. Here's what I know. My influence will grow in a positive way with you. And when that happens, I have the privilege of leading you when it's appropriate to do so. That's how leadership works, and you can have it by just adding value to people in an intentional way and increasing your influence. So, hey, you may want to do it with your kids. You may want to do it with your neighbor. I don't know who you want to increase your influence with, but here's what I know. When you do, you'll be able to take them further, perhaps, than they could have ever gone on their own. That's the law of influence.
Many times when I'm in the corporate world doing leadership conferences, they'll ask me questions, and we'll do a Q&A. And one of the questions that is asked me many times when I speak is somebody raise their hand and will say, John, who do you think the greatest leader was that ever lived? And I look at them and I say, now I want to have some credibility with you because I'm going to give you the answer because I know that. But I want you to know before I give you the answer, I'm a person of faith. Because the answer I'm going to give you is Jesus. He's the greatest leader that ever lived. But I said, I'm not telling you that from a faith perspective. I'm telling you that from an history perspective. Because of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, what do I teach? That leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Jesus has influenced more people than any man's ever lived. Socrates taught for 40 years, Plato for 50, Aristotle for 40. That's 130 years of great philosophy. Jesus taught for 3. But the words of Jesus have been taught and passed on more than all those 3 great philosophers. Jesus never painted a picture. But Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael, they painted pictures, and their greatest paintings were inspired because of the life of Jesus. He never wrote poetry, but Dante and Milton, and you just go down the list of the great poets, they literally received their inspiration from him. He was the greatest influencer that ever lived. Never wrote any scores of music, and yet Beethoven and Bach and Handel, Mendelssohn, all the great artists, their greatest inspiration when they wrote music was based on the life of who Jesus was.
You know, 80% of our congregation spend 80% of their time in the workplace. So if all we're focusing on is the 20% of the time they spend on Sundays, we're missing most of their lives, and it's not relevant to where they are and what they're doing. So the workplace, I was a barrister for 10 years. I understand what it means to be a Christian in the workplace. You know, it's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy in business. It's not easy in law. It's not easy in any profession to be a Christian. And but you're on the front line. And we who are like now, my job is I'm a pastor, so I'm on the back line. I'm supporting people on the front line. The task of us, the apostles, teachers, prophets, evangelists, is to equip the saints. The saints are all Christians for the work of ministry. The ministry happens in the workplace. The ministry you are the ministers. So it's the entrepreneurs are ministers. They're ministers of the gospel in the workplace. And it's not just that you do a job in order that you can give to the church and come to church on Sunday, but your work is your primary ministry. And so yes, we want to equip people. So, you know, the Bible in 1 year is designed to feed people at the start of a day. So to help people to connect with God at the start of their day. And it's more important to listen to God than to speak to him. So, you know, that's why I want to start the day reading the Bible. And then I pray, because first of all, I want to hear what God has to say to me. So we want to equip people like that. We want to equip people to reach their friends with the good news. So Alpha runs in the workplace. Alpha runs in prisons and in the Houses of Parliament and in the White House. It's run in every different context, and people can run. It runs in number 10 Downing Street. It's been run in the Cabinet Office. It's like this is a way that you can pass on the good news to your friends. But you know, businesses have such power to make change. So one of my sons worked for IJM, International Justice Mission, which does a fantastic job around the world. But getting people out of slavery in the workplace, or often actually business can do as much, if not more, by going in. You know, if you can create jobs. So much of the problems of economic slavery, workplace these brick kilns or whatever comes from the fact that people can't get jobs that provide a decent wage. If you can go into if you can create businesses where people can get good jobs and be able to feed their family, actually you can do as much as any NGO